What's going on, y'all? We are back again, episode 3, season 7, Breaking Barriers podcast. I'm here with my fellow comrades and compadres from the Breaking Barriers Youth Leadership Council.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Jalen. Welcome back. Excited to be here.
Jamie and Uzi, how we doing?
It's Ant, back again. What's up?
It's Ant. How we doing back again? All right, Ant. Today we have a very special guest, the one, the only Miss Romanda Gibson-Stevenson from JPMorgan Chase. She is a vice president community partner. Right?
Community manager.
Community manager, sorry.
Right.
See, look, I messed it up.
Fine.
I said I wasn't going to do it, and I did it anyway. But she is here with us today, and we are so excited to have her because of all the amazing work that we are doing around financial literacy and education, and a very, very, very big event that we have coming up April 26th of this year, next month. Mm-hmm. So, Ms. Ramonda, we are all gathered and excited to hear about all the wonderful things that you are going to tell us today.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, gentlemen.
All right. So, can you kind of just tell us a little bit about what you do, why you do it, and why it's so important to you? Let's just start there.
Good question. Now, as you know, my name is Romanda Gibson-Stevenson, and I have the honor of serving as the Vice President Community Manager with JPMorgan Chase Bank. And basically what I do is I have the honor of meeting with wonderful community members and executives and leadership to really find out what's going on in the communities in which I serve. I'm fortunate to serve the Buffalo and Rochester areas, but most importantly, by having conversations such as this, meeting with leadership and meeting with community members, I'm able to really execute and develop programming to really be impactful on the behalf of our community and serving the Buffalo and Rochester residents. So I do a lot of financial education. I do a lot of meetings and sitting on boards, task forces, and groups, as well as doing community service projects and initiatives to benefit the community on the behalf of the firm. Many of our firm members, they live, work, and play right here in this area. So we want to make sure that we're able to roll up our sleeves to be a part of solutions and not a part of problems that the community is facing. And that's why those conversations and those wonderful meetings are important.
That's awesome.
And what I love about my role in answering your question, I love the fact that I get a chance to have experiences and opportunities such as this, where I could have really candid conversations and just let the community know that Chase is vested in the communities in which we serve, and that we're here to be a part of making sure that we do our part in serving the wonderful people that we serve at our firm every day.
So that's a wonderful segue into what we do at Say Yes as a whole, and especially within our Boys and Men of Color initiative, is that you didn't necessarily say the word, but partnership. Mm-hmm. So can you talk about the importance of partnerships and the work that you do, and also talk a little bit about the partnership that we have?
Oh, great. Now, as far as the partnerships that we do within JPMorgan Chase and serving the Buffalo area as well as the Rochester area, we feel that partnerships are vital because obviously nobody could do it alone. We all are in it together to make sure that we have our stuff together to serve the people in which need us the most, and that is our community. So with the partnerships that we have within JPMorgan Chase, here in Buffalo, we've been supporting and partnering with the Urban League of Buffalo. We've been also partnering with Say Yes Buffalo, as well as the United Way of Buffalo and Erie County, to name a few, the Buffalo public school system. We've been partnering just to make sure that we do our part in just helping with financial education, and also having events like we have targeted for April the 26th. Luckily, we have been partnering with Say Yes Buffalo and Breaking Barriers to be able to launch this wonderful financial summit. And this summit is really geared towards just educating our community on everything from home ownership, how to own a home. You know how sometimes we ask, okay, how do I own a home? This wonderful conference will have the materials needed so you could come away with the tools, tips, and strategies on being able to be successful in owning a home. Also, we're going to talk about budgeting and savings, as well as we're going to be talking about how to invest. A lot of people, they want to invest, but they necessarily don't know how. We're going to have conversations and workshops geared towards that as well. We're also going to be having insurance coming out too. We have an insurance representative that is going to be coming out and talking about the various types of insurance and why it's important to have insurance and what type of insurance that may be best for you. So just as you can hear, a lot of education. So we're excited because it's going to be an all-day extravaganza. It's going to be from 8:30 to like 5 o'clock-ish. right at the Northland Workforce Development Center, right in the heart of the community, because we want to meet you where you're at. And that's what Chase is all about, partnering with the community to work with organizations such as Say Yes Buffalo to meet people where they're at and get them where they want to be. And that's in achieving their financial goals.
I actually have a question for you.
Okay. Okay, come on, Anthony.
For you, what came first, the community aspect or the finance aspect? What did you first want to get into?
Good question. Now, Anthony, to answer your question, what came first for me was the community piece. I'm very passionate about serving the community, because the community is what raised me, and I want to make sure that I do my part in giving back to the community. So when I heard about this opportunity, I said, you know what, community manager, what's that? I'm like, I want to manage the community. So that's what I did. I tried to make sure that I did my part in helping to manage the community, so to speak, and being the face of the organization in the Buffalo and Rochester markets to make sure that I meet people where they're at, as most importantly, helping people get to where they want to be and educating them and making sure that Chase is at the table and we have a seat at the table to strengthen our communities in which we serve. So I love that piece, and that was what attracted me to the community piece and just being hands-on and being the forefront and just sitting at the table and having conversations with people. I want to make sure that conversations like money are so natural that, people will feel that, okay, it's important to have conversations about how to save and grow their wealth. And that's what I love about this job, is because it has a community focus to it.
That's what's up. On the topic of the Financial Conference Summit?
Financial Empowerment Summit, yeah.
On the Financial Empowerment Summit, can you kind of talk about the difference between financial literacy and financial education?
Good question. Now, Jalen, financial literacy, I like to say financial education, because I feel when you say someone's literate, it's like they're learning how to do something. But people, they know about money. It's just that sometimes it's great to have conversations like what we're going to be having on the 26th to really learn the tools, tips, and strategies on how to be able to save and grow their money and to create generational wealth building. And with that being said, financial education, all that is just building upon what you know, so that way you can actually achieve your goals. So I love utilizing the term financial education, because I think it's important, because we already know about money. Like if I give you $5 and tell you to go to the store and get me a gallon of milk, you know what to do with that. But as far as how to pick out the most economical portion of milk, you know what I mean? To make sure that maybe instead of using name brand milk, maybe we get a little generic, those types of tools just to save out our budget and to save our funds. That's the type of education that I'm talking about. So that's how I kind of correlate the difference in that terminology.
Right. Nowadays, young people are always talking about, I got to get to the bag. I got to get, this bread. I got to get this money. What are some ways that young people can start building generational wealth early?
Great question, Jalen. What I recommend for young people to start building generational wealth early is to start saving.
Save.
Save. I hear you, Anthony. You my fire.
I just did my saving today. I put all my money in my savings account today.
I love it, Anthony. You got me Kool-Aid smiling right here.
Not the Kool-Aid.
Definitely. I'll tell you, see all my teeth right now. So definitely, for those who are hearing, you'll hopefully you hear me smiling. But definitely, saving is important, because you want to make sure that every dollar has a purpose. So out of every dollar, what we recommend is that 50 cents out of every dollar goes towards your needs. And that's stuff that you actually have to have in order to survive. 30 cents out of every dollar will go towards your wants. Those are the things that you like to have, but you necessarily don't need it to survive. You just really want it, like the terminology says. And the other 20%, that goes to your savings. And it also goes to charity or tithing or whatever you choose to do with it. But that is the money that you have for, savings as well as for charity work. So that way, every cent of that dollar is accounted for, but you definitely make sure that you are purposeful in every coin that you have.
So I have a question, because for some people, in their equation when it comes to financial situations, they have debt included. So some people that wouldn't be like they wouldn't be able to do the normal way. So how will they work around that, inserting their debt into their how they manage their money?
Great question. What we recommend for people to be able to be strategic in addressing their debt is why why can't we do both and save and address our debt as well? You get what I mean? So a strategy that you could do is doing that. We have a couple of approaches. We have this approach called a snowball method. That is where you actually, with the snowball method, you actually pay off your debts according to the lowest amount to the highest amount. So for example, if you have a credit card for $500 and you have another credit card for $1,000 and another credit card for say $3,000, you would pay off the $500 debt first. Then the money that you use for the $500 debt, you would use that towards $1,000, and then the money that you have for the $500 and the $1,000 debt, you would use that to pay the $3,000. So you see how you could get easy wins during that, and that's the snowball method. During that same time, again, we're going to sneak away 20% to save for a rainy day. But also the other approach is the avalanche method. That is where you pay on the debts that have the highest percentage first to the lowest percentage. So you're getting money by saving in percentages. And we're going to have a conversation about that tonight at the campus when we actually go out there to Buffalo. What was it? The name of it again?
Buffalo Academy of
Buffalo
Science.
Academy of Science. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you got to put some respect on that.
I know. I hate it when I talk crazy.
Ramonda. That's a school.
I'm just saying that ain't my home.
That's a school.
Okay,
That's
you
all,
alumni from
just,
there. I got you. All right, Jamie, thank you for getting me right. So you want to definitely, when we go out to your campus, we're going to have a further conversation about it. But definitely, when we talk about the avalanche method, that method actually utilizes, like I said, the interest rate. So you'll pay off the highest interest rate first, and then you'll go down to the lowest interest rate debt that you have. So you want to do that if you feel comfortable in actually feeling like, okay, I want to save money just in interest. And that's a great way of saving as well. But that's attractive to those people who like to have those type of strategies. So wherever you feel comforted in, you want to make sure you tackle debt in that manner.
Okay. So Miss Ramonda, one of the things I love about you is that you are so passionate about this work and what you do. And clearly we heard you earlier kind of breaking it down for the young men in regards to just your expertise around this subject, right? Mm-hmm. And I knew from when I met you and you came out to the retreat a couple years ago and you introduced yourself to the boys as Miss Ramonda from Wakanda.
Wakanda, yes. She's named after me. All right. Those who are listening in on the podcast, the Queen of Wakanda, her name is Ramonda. She's named after me. So whenever you think of the Queen of Wakanda, Black Panther, think of me. She's my twin, okay? So, all right, I'm sorry, Daniel.
No, you're good. You're fine. I knew you were the person that needed to be around these young men and really feed and speak into them in regards to finance, right? But I want to know, when did you start to kind of learn your own lessons around finance and how that translated into everything that you're doing now? Because I know we kind of talked about this before, and my mama going to be mad at me because I'm going to share something today and I didn't have a chance to ask her about whether or not it was okay for me to talk about it today, but I'm going to talk about it and just deal with it later.
Don't do it. Please don't do it.
Mama, forgive us.
But when did you start to learn your lessons around, finance and just your own personal life?
Great question. Now, for me, I'm with you on the mama story. My mom, I love you, mommy. Let me put that disclaimer out there. My mom actually showed me what not to do. You know how, like, a lot of times our parents, they show us what to do and what not to do. When it came to finances, my mom showed me what not to do. My mom was the type of person that if she had $1, it burnt a hole in her pocket. She had to spend it, So I'm familiar with coming home and say our rental center furniture was repossessed. You get what I mean? I'm familiar with cars being repossessed. I'm familiar with just coming home and the lights are off, the gas and electric is off. You get what I'm trying to say? So my mom, her example was really powerful to me because it taught me what not to do. And I think sometimes we always look for people with what to do, but we also need to look at people's example of what not to do. I don't have to repeat my mom's mistakes in order to be blessed by her example. So what I did is I said, okay, I can't live like this. I want to make sure that I have some stability for my family to do better than what my mom had did, because I'm the best of my mom, right? We're the best of our parents. So what I did is I started educating myself. I looked at people like Susie Orman, I researched her, and I also read her books. I would go to the library and rent out books, just to save money. The library got free tools, that we can utilize, right? So I used my wonderful library card and went there and researched books about financial education, went online, looked at websites and things of that nature to get a better understanding of different concepts like we talked about today, just to educate myself. And I also had conversations with people that had my solution, not my problem. You get what I'm trying to say? So I'm really a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in connecting with those who, like for me, I grew up without having a lot of money. You talking about started from the bottom. Now we're here in the words of Prophet Drake. You know what I'm saying? Exactly, Drizzy. So in the words of him, starting from the bottom, now we're here. That was my story. I started from the bottom. So I had to learn to reach and connect with people who had the answer to my problem, who were doing successfully, and lean in on them and just have my mentorship through them and ask them questions so I could be a little bit more educated about things that I researched online to see if it was true or not, and to also hear their story and their example. So that was how I was able to really help myself in that situation, just studying and just having conversations.
Right. As a vice president community manager, what does making a positive change in the community look like to you personally or professionally, or both?
Great question. A positive impact on the community, what that looks like to me is hearing people say, Ramonda, because of your workshop, I was able to get my credit score up. I went from having a credit score of 500, now I'm at a 720 by utilizing your tools, tips, and strategies. A positive.
If you're doing that, I need some help.
Hey, come see me.
She working magic.
I do free financial fitness coaching. I'm certified as a financial fitness coach. So,
Come on, certification.
Fitness.
So, hey, we do it. But another thing is that I love hearing success stories about people being able to buy homes, because we at Chase, we feel that home ownership is the key to generational wealth.
It is.
And generational wealth, for those who are listening, all that is a fancy term for just you being able to hand down your savings, your investments, and also your home and real estate to your children and your children's children and your children's children. So down various generations. So those types of success stories are what I live for. People who are able to buy cars that were not being able to be approved before. I love that. And I feel that really helps the community, because it helps people save money so they can be able to meet their financial goals and enjoy their lives.
I got you.
All right. Now I have a question. Okay.
Let me sit up.
So I want to ask you, Anthony, what lessons did you grow up learning from your parents or guardians?
Let me think.
And you get ready too, Jalen, because that's going to go right at
I
you.
got my answer.
I want to think about this because I want to go based off the aspect of what my grandparents have.
Okay.
Both sides, my dad's and my grandmother's side, and my mom's side, excuse me. They both have lots of properties, lots of cars, lots of wealth. But then when you look down at my parents and then my aunts and uncles, that same knowledge that my grandparents had, it didn't seem to, at a certain point in time, trickle down to them. And I seen that it took for them to actually want to go out for themselves to get the knowledge of what they needed to do to be able to get that, because there was a point in time that my mom, she was working towards that, but then she kind of got a little lost, and she was like, now she's teaching us what not to do. So I would say I kind of learned to just stay on top of it, stay on top of your money, stay on top of everything that you need to do to take care of yourself, and just if you need help, ask for it.
That's good. I like that. That's good.
Neat. Wait, can you rephrase the question again?
What? Good question.
Because I kind of got lost. I ain't gonna lie, when I was talking, I forgot the question.
Yeah.
I really did.
That's fine. You answered it. What I asked is, what were some of the lessons that your parents and guardians taught you along your journey?
I think the main thing that my mom kind of drilled in my head is just saving. When it comes to any amount of money that I bring in or get or whatever, my mom always told me to either put like 50% of that into a savings account, or like 75% of that into a savings account, and just forget about that account, because that's gonna teach me to obviously keep saving money and to not spend what I already have and things like that. And so she said, put 50 of what you get into, or 50% of what you get into the savings account, and then keep a little bit as kind of pocket change. But yeah, forget about the savings account. Act like you don't have it, so that you don't end up, spending that on like unnecessary things and things like that. So the main thing is just saving.
Can I speak on to
Good
that?
nuggets. I like
Can
it.
I speak
Your
on to
mouth is
that?
good.
You sure it's working?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to speak on to
working.
that, add on to that, because that's actually something that my grandparents told both of my parents. But a lot of the times, we're told to save, but we're not taught full financial education, or how to work around it, or how to build credit as well. Because I got all this money, but nowadays a lot of stuff is based off of credit too, and that's smarter, honestly, to go based off of credit. So also, we got to pay attention in learning how to build our credit and learning more ways to just make ourselves in a better financial position. Excuse me.
Great point. Because definitely being educated on how to build your credit is very vital. And I would love for those who are listening, those who want to have that desire, to come out on April 26th to the Northland Workforce Development Center, just to learn more about credit, because we're going to have extensive workshops on that, so that way you can build and grow your credit. That's good.
Speaking of credit, nowadays, or because of how everything's fluctuating as of late, a lot of people are struggling with trying to build their credit score, or even just stay at a consistent pace. Why do you think people struggle with keeping their credit score up, or at a consistent pace?
Oh, good question. Now, Jalen, just to be able to answer that, now people, in my opinion, struggle with keeping their credit score up is because they don't necessarily know the rules of the game. It's a game. You know how, like, when you play football, there are rules to the game, or sports, like basketball, there's rules to that game. Within credit, there's rules to that as well. It's important that when you're building your credit, that you most importantly pay your bills on time. Okay? So if your bill is due on the 4th of the month, you make sure by mail, phone, in-person payment, online payment, whatever form of payment you give it to them, you make sure those people get that money before the 4th of the month. Okay? Also, to another key rule in the game is your credit utilization. What that is fancy fluff for how much credit you're using. They only want you to use 30% of your credit. Okay? So let's just say if I had a credit card for $1,000, I would times that by 0.30, and then it'll be $300 that they want me to use out of that credit card. You get what I mean? Because financial institutions, they know that the rain is going to come. They know that when I say by the rain, you're going to have an emergency or a life challenge. Somebody might die, and you, God forbid, and you may have to be out of work because you're grieving the loss of that loved one. Or you may get sick, or a loved one may get sick, and you have to be out of work to care for that loved one. They know when that rain does come, that by you utilizing 30% of your credit lines, that most likely you'll be able to pay them back. You get what I'm trying to say? Because they know that if you spend over that you're not worried about that black suit that you got, or those pair of Jordans that you financed from Foot Locker. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, they know that you're going to be worried about taking care of your basic needs, keeping a roof over your head, and feeding yourself during that time. So they know that by you utilizing that 30% rule that I stated, by only making sure that you only spend no more than 30% of each line of credit, that they know that you're going to be able to most likely pay them back in the event that the rain does come and the hardship does happen.
I love that. I have a question towards the bills, because me personally, I can't stay in a bill.
Okay.
But one thing about me, I'm going to pay my bills.
Okay, so, good. I love that, Anthony.
Lately, my parents have been teaching me on responsibility.
Okay.
When it comes to handling my money, because I just got a job lately, and
congratulations.
Yeah.
All right, hey, that pays a check.
Need a discount.
We love it.
Oh no, that's all right. Anyways, on that aspect, I have bills now.
Yeah.
And she spaced them out to where they come on certain days of the month. I pay all my bills early.
Okay, good.
Off the first paycheck.
Good.
Is that good?
That is good. Paying your bills early, what that does is that if it's something on your credit report, for example, what that does is it actually saves you interest money. So if you borrow money and say the earlier you pay it, you're not being charged so much in interest because you paid off that debt before it was due. You understand what I'm saying? So that is a great habit that you have, because it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run, and saving on interest payments. We call it APR, annual percentage rate. That is a term that that they use in the financial world, because that is interest that is charged for money that you owe, that you borrowed, and that you need to pay back.
Oh, that's good to know. All
So I hear y'all talking a lot about credit, and Jamie being real quiet.
I'm taking in all the knowledge, man. Go ahead, blow me up on the spot. Listen, I'm ready for the viewers. They know what it is. Nah, come on. Let's talk.
We done had our conversation.
Listen.
I just wanted to bring you in, that's all.
Nah, what's up?
So you all have been talking a lot about credit, right? And I think credit is a good thing, a great thing. I love credit. I got good credit, right? I told you I learned.
love it.
In so many words, I told you I learned my lessons about credit from my mama.
Yes.
Right? And watching her over the years. And I ain't going to put it on Front Street right now. Just know I love you, Mom, and I appreciate all those lessons I learned about my credit from watching you do some things.
Yes.
Where was I going? Oh, credit. All right. Credit. Talk about that fine line, though, between having the credit, but then there's also a piece I don't think we're talking about in regards to you can have the credit, but you got to be disciplined, too. Mm-hmm. So where does that come into play? And how do we create spaces where we can educate and talk to people about the importance of really being very disciplined about when we are spending credit versus when we should actually be using cash if we had a cash as opposed to using the credit?
I love that. I love that question. It does require discipline when you're using credit. We talked about the rules of the game. Now, you want to be able to use your credit for when you absolutely need it. We don't want to get into the habit of just constantly financing things and we can't afford to pay for them at the end of the month. Like you, Anthony, you know how you make sure that you pay that bill outright. You're good to go early. I
don't want no surprises.
I love it. I love it. So in our habits of playing that game, of the credit game and learning the rules, you want to make sure that before you finance anything, is this something that I need or is it something that I want? Okay. Now, if it's more along the times of where you want it, but you know at the end of the month you can't pay it off, then we need to really look at that. You also want to make sure that when you utilize your credit, that you make sure that it's something that you can afford to pay off. But also, you want to make sure that you are responsible with it. You don't want to just keep buying things because you want to front, to let them know how you doing out here in these streets. No, that is not the rule.
So you saying don't buy the $75,000 Escalade?
Nah,
and you ain't bought a house yet.
Nah, exactly.
Talking about that.
We talking about that. We talking about that.
We talking about not buying the Jordan 4s with no job.
That part right there. We're talking about that. Not buying things that we can't afford because we can't pay it back. Again, that comes to that needs and wants. We may need a vehicle, but we want to Escalade. You get what I mean? As long as we got safe, reliable transportation, that's all we need. So we may need sneakers, but we may not need those new Jordans that coming out. You get what I mean? It's a want.
It's a want.
Some people say, "Oh, Jordans is a want," but it's not. Jordans is a need, they say, but it's a want really. But you want to make sure that you use your credit responsibly because when you actually needed to buy a home, or you need to buy a vehicle that you really, really, because sometimes accident happens. People have a vehicle and then the next minute you get caught up. Yeah, you might get caught up in the pothole magic. And then, now you need to get a new vehicle because your vehicle is severely damaged. So you want to have your credit available for those moments. But if you're financing things and you're using credit for just clothes and jewelry and just to flash and show off to people that don't know you and don't care about you, you get what I mean? That is going to be a huge challenge when you really do need your credit and you don't have it available to you because you've maxed out your cards. And all maxed out your cards means basically if you had a credit limit of $1,000 and you spent the whole $1,000, that's maxing it out. So you don't want to get into that habit of just financing things that you can't necessarily afford to pay for.
Right.
Anthony, I had a question, and this is just off the top of the dome. You mentioned you pay your bills. Your mom has you on a set schedule regarding those. What happens if you don't pay said bill on time? Is there interest included with that? Or is it just a...
So I don't know because what had happened was... Because right now, technically, I am in debt because there was 2 months. They said I needed to have a job by January. I turned 18.
Wait, you in debt with your parents?
Technically.
Oh, wow. They ain't playing with you.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
There's no...
Because you don't have a credit card yet, right?
No, and that's another thing I got to talk to you about because no, it's good. Okay. But no, technically I am behind on my bills, but they're not stressing about it because they're trying to teach me. And I was upset with her. I was like, wait, why didn't you tell me? Because I wouldn't have been out here just spending the money that I did have thinking everything was okay.
Hold on, Ant, can we get deeper with this? Can you run down your actual bills? Do you mind sharing?
We can.
I'm curious.
Okay, so I have rent. I don't know how much this stuff is. I don't remember. I don't remember how much everything is. It's on a piece of paper.
Okay.
It's the invoice, basically. So I have rent.
I love it.
And it literally has my name. It has the month. It has the year. It has everything that I have. I check it off, and she signs it and the date. Everything's on there.
Your mom about business. I love it.
She don't play.
I'm hearing it.
So we
I
have
love
rent, gas for house, gas for car.
Are you paying a portion of the gas? Because it's
Portion.
It's a
So
couple
this
of
is
y'all
the
in the
thing.
house.
I use a lot of gas because I'm weird. Like I need to have the heat on, but then I need to have my window open. My mama don't play that, so she like, you gonna have my window open. You about to be paying towards the gas.
Y'all need to have, y'all
So I
need to
got
have
that.
zones in your
I got
house.
portion of everything, and then that's another thing. So I have rent, gas for car, portion of water, phone bill, house utilities. I think that's it. But this is why it's written down.
Okay. 'Cause you got an invoice of a checklist of all the different expenses that you,
Everything.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
you.
So is everyone that has a job in the house basically paying a portion?
No,
of,
if you're over 18 and
pay?
you still living there,
Okay.
you're paying a portion.
you paying your portion.
That's actually really good.
I love that. I
Because
love-
those are like the bills that you're gonna have like for real.
Exactly.
For real
It's
when you're on
great
your
It is,
own.
training.
and
It's
it's
great
teaching
training.
me
Yes.
self-control because I have a bad I can care less about clothes because honestly I love going thrifting. You know, like love finding abstract pieces of clothes and stuff like that. So it's not really more so clothes that I have to worry about. My problem is food. And then for some reason I went and I started working in fast food. So
Okay.
every day at work, almost every day I'm buying something. So to answer your question, yeah, everything is written down. I have all my bills. What was the
It
original
was,
question?
is there any interest? Like if you were to
Oh yeah,
fall
yeah. So I'm behind.
Yeah.
So the agreement was after I turned 18, I was to get a job. You know, because they're not gonna kick me out. They like, why would I kick you out? You're my kid.
Yes.
But you know, you are a young adult now. It's time to have some responsibility. I was taking my sweet little time going to get my job. A cruise came around. I went. They say, yeah, okay, you gonna spend your little money on this cruise. January came. I'm a business owner, so I have a business. So I'm used to when I have a trip coming up, I just go and I decide to activate that business, make some money so I can go on that trip.
Got it.
It was the trip I wanted to go on in January, and so I made money just for that trip, and I forgot I had bills. I was like, yeah, here's the money. I need you to book my flight. She's like, what flight? What you mean? You have bills.
Okay.
I was in a hole. I only had enough to pay for half of my bills. So they said, okay, there's no interest, but you still have to pay this. I totally forgot, man. We in March now? I was talking, I'm like, yeah, all my bills I paid. My mom was like, no, you know you like a month and a half behind. I was like, wait, why didn't you tell me this? She's like, no, it's okay. I don't want you to like stress about it. I just want you to learn responsibility. So before you think, should I buy this? Should I go out to eat? Should I go to the movies? Maybe I should pay on those bills that are sitting there. They're not going to put me in a hole, but you know, it would be smart to get this out the way in case, you know, a trip comes up and I want to go. Because that's when that money will be taken out. That's when she's going to say, no, you have to pay this because you're not going to go and make this big purchase and you still owe. Yes. So there's no interest, but there is, I don't know how to pay. There's some rules and regulations to the game.
I'm just curious. Like I said, I love the fact that, you know, you being so young but old in a sense and learning that skill. Yeah, that's what's up. That was just curious.
Your mom is doing a great job.
And then
She's
onto
doing a
that
great
credit
job.
thing, because after we had the last, what is it called? The last workshop.
Last
Yes.
I went home and was like, yeah, Mom, I want to get my credit card. She said, oh, absolutely not. I was like, wait, Mom, wait. She was like, no. She said, you don't know nothing about credit, and you're going to go and you're going to spend. I'm like, no, I'm not. And in the back of my head, yes, I am. She was like, what I'll do with you is I'll sit down with you, and we'll start talking, and we'll start educating you on credit so you can build your credit, because she would love for me to start building my credit.
Okay.
So onto you, I'll be having a conversation with you onto that because I want to get that out there. I'm going to start building my credit now so I can get me a big fancy house.
All right. Good for you. I love it. I love the goals too. I love it. What about you, Jalen? What kind of debt do you have? Do you have any debt at this
Do you
point?
pay any bills?
Yeah. Do you pay any bills?
Yeah, Jalen, tell us.
Yeah, what are you spending your money on
Wow.
right now? That's the questions.
All right, first of all, okay, yes, I did buy a pair of Jordans, but I haven't bought sneakers since the beginning of 2024, and I am in need of some shoes.
Hold on, real quick.
All right.
You don't strike me as a type to wear retros. What retros did you get?
Okay, so I think a couple months back I got Jordan 1 Midnight Navies.
Okay.
And then last night, or was it the other day? I didn't know. Last night I bought Jordan 4 Fears. So
okay. Oh, go ahead though. What's your bills and yeah.
at the moment I don't really have any bills. I'm not in debt. I'm in a good financial standing. I have my savings account, things like that. I don't really spend money that I don't need to spend. Okay. I'm not out here tricking or whatever. So I'm not tricking. Nah.
Okay.
It sounds like y'all not convinced.
No.
You don't have any student loans right now either, because you know you're a college student.
Oh yeah, I forgot about student loans.
Yeah.
What are we doing for that? What's the plan for that? Did in your name or did your parents pay? No, this is a serious question.
That's honestly, that's something I don't want to get into. That's so complicated. It's super complicated. I don't want to get into that.
But are you developing a plan for your student loans?
Yes, I am.
Tackle that off? Okay, good. I'm glad you brought that question up.
No, that was like a very serious question that I had, because it's like one thing to go to school and like, you know, have a student loan, but what's your plan to pay for that loan? Because a lot of people, they're like, okay, when I get out of college, I'm going to pay it off. And then it'd be like a long time paying it off because they waited so long to start paying on it. That's the only reason why I asked.
That's understandable, but a lot of people don't really have to take out student loans because you have FAFSA, you have TAP, you have Pell, you have the Excelsior program. So most people don't really have to pay off student loans, but that was a good question.
Okay, Ms. Ramonda, I got a question for you. So, it's kind of like a two-parter.
Okay.
What advice would you offer to young people who are in a space where they're ready to start engaging around their own financial situations, right? But then I feel like I need some guidance because I have a young person who I love dearly, right? Very near and dear to my heart. And a while ago, they approached me about helping them with their own financial situation. So I'm going through my process of assessment, like, all right, let's run down all your bills. What are you paying? What can we cut out? This, that, and third. And like, I wouldn't let this individual leave one day. He was a little tight with me. I was like, yo, you have to, let's go through all these subscriptions that you can right now.
Yes. Do we need
do you
15
really need
subscriptions? Yeah, we need a
Exactly.
gaming subscription. You need Netflix. Do you need, Disney Plus? Do you need, Hulu? Do you need all that?
Exactly, all of that, right? So give me some advice on how I can help not just this particular individual, but other individuals that might be in the same situation, understand their financial situation and things that we can do to put them in a better financial situation.
Great question. I think a lot of times what we like to share within our workshops is the importance of having conversations with young adults and in our children and youth. I think it's important because a lot of times we try to protect them and shield them, but our wonderful youth are going to be handling the money, as a young adult, as a youth, as well as most importantly as an adult. So having those conversations early on is very important. If you did not have that chance to do that early on, just meeting them where they're at, just having conversations even about your own, story, your own testimony as to some of the do's and don'ts of what you've learned as you were able to navigate and move and learn about finances. I also think it's important what we talk to our youth about is the importance of determining between needs and wants. I think a lot of times with youth, they think everything is a need, but really when they sit down and you educate them, the fact that a need is something that you have to have in order to live and survive, and a want is something that you really would like to have, but you don't necessarily need it to survive, that kind of correlates to them and they go, oh, I get it, because in this day and age, we're always in this instant gratification mode. We want it right now. We want it yesterday. But that's not life. You have to be patient. You most importantly have to be taught, and you can educate your youth about the importance of saving, because saving is definitely important. Even if they save $1, it's $1 more than they had before. We want to work with whatever they got. You get what I mean? So with that being said, talking to youth, having crucial conversations with youth, but most importantly, educating them about needs and wants and the importance of savings and the importance of establishing goals. You talked about earlier, Anthony, about your goal is you're going to own your own home. How do we get to owning your own home? Let's research what are the steps necessary to own our own home. Do we need to work on our credit? Do we need to work on savings? Do we need to work on just shopping around where you would like to buy your home. You get what I mean? Just having those conversations and working on SMART goals. You know, SMART goals is this fancy term for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. That's it. You get what I mean? So an example of a SMART goal is I would like to save $500 by saving $20 a week for 20 weeks to by December. You get what I mean? You see how I have all those components in that particular goal. So having those conversations and making sure that we work our goals like a to-do list. You know, a lot of times we write down goals. We say you want to do this and want to do this, but you need to be working at those goals like a to-do list. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's something that would be really vital in helping with youth.
Where does the monthly budget form template thing come into play when you kind of having that conversation? Because one of the things I was trying to impart was let's sit down, let's look at all your expenses, and then let's look at all the income that's coming in from wherever you might have it coming in. And I commend him because he got income coming in from a couple of different places. So
Okay,
I'm like,
good.
all right, well, let's work this thing.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
A monthly budget, that's a great tool, because even if they're a young child and they have allowance, you get what I mean? You want to be able to have them start right now. That's a part of those conversations that we talked about, having them have a budget. So you can introduce that budget as early as a elementary student, or as late as a young adult, or a senior citizen for that matter. So you want to be able to talk to them about having a budget so they can talk about their income, money coming in after taxes, minus the expenses, the various bills and things that they spend their money on, and whatever's left over is also money that they will use, again, to save towards their future goals and their desires. So I like having a tool that we have under Chase. We have a tool called Chase Credit Journey. It's under chase.com/credit journey. Okay, yeah, credit learning. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you use it. And that's a free tool that, you don't even have to be a Chase customer to use. It's a free tool. Again, remember, we're all about educating the community, and we use those resources for, we do that for free, but that's a free tool. You don't even have to be a customer at Chase. You can open up an account under chase.com/credit learning, and it has a budgeting tool on there. It has, you can look at your credit score, your credit report. It will give you even tools, tips, and strategies on how to improve your credit score and everything off of that tool. So if you do not want to do that, look at whatever tool your financial institution has to offer. They also have tools as well. But I love the Chase Credit Journey tool because I use it myself daily, faithfully, and it's a really great tool that it really makes it idiot-proof for people like me to be able to grow and increase my wealth. Also, when you talk about youth, again, having that budget sheet, making sure that you hold them accountable and have regular meetings with that youth is important as well.
Right. I wanted to touch on the banking aspect just a little bit. What should people kind of consider when choosing a new banking institution?
I love that question. What you want to consider when you're choosing a new banking institution is basically your needs. Do you need something local? Or do you need, or do you have transportation where you could go further? You also want to look at your kryptonite. I like to, we all have a weakness. You know how Superman has a weakness of kryptonite? We all have a weakness. So if you are a type of person that you spend a lot, maybe you need to talk to your financial advisor or your banker about do you need a debit card, or should you not have one because you know how you are. You get what I mean? So
Mr. Swipey.
Mr. or Mrs. Swipey, if you are that person, you want to talk about tools, tips, and strategies to be able to help you be successful. Just like how you would talk to your doctor about anything that's wrong with you to keep you healthy, that's what your bankers are. They're there to keep you healthy. So whoever's lucky enough to have your business, you want to have conversations with them about that. You also may want to look at interest rates that they may, give you as far as the money that you put in, as well as you want to look at the various services that they provide. Do they have good customer service? Could you come in there and feel comfortable? Do you feel like that particular finance institution has an online presence that you could use their online tools, or you could go to the nearest branch to be able to get served? Or could you call a customer service number and, feel like you could get through easily? Those are the types of things that you want to look at when serving, trying to check out which financial institution is good. And I like for my young youth to say, for my youth that'll be going off to college or the military or to the workforce, and you may be relocating, think about a national bank, somewhere that could be wherever you go. So that way you could look at, okay, well, if I stay locally and there's only like 17 branches here locally, are they going to charge me a fee when I go away to college at, down south, or, when I go to another college, say across New York State, for example? You get what I mean? You want to be able to know that that branch has a presence all over, so that way you could be able to minimize being charged as many fees as possible. So you could go to various ATMs to be able to use those tools to be able to get your money if needed. Okay?
Right.
Do we have time for one more question?
I think we're getting close on time. We got time for one more, and then I'm going to close this out.
Her. Ms. Ramonda, I appreciate all the knowledge and expertise in which you've provided throughout this conversation. I cannot wait to watch this episode. Please, y'all go check it out. My last question in which that I had was kind of spinning on the notion of a young person. I always say, you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So for someone in which that doesn't know all the great tips and strategies in which that you just discussed today that is in debt, whether it be credit cards, student loans, or just other financial loans and things of that nature, what advice would you give them to kind of start somewhere? Like if that young person felt as if they were stuck within the debt and didn't necessarily know where to start, how to start, and how to go about tackling it. I know you mentioned the snowball effect. Mm-hmm. I know you mentioned the avalanche, the 50-30-20. But is there anything in particular in which that you would say to a specific young person if they had that concern or worry?
Oh, I love that question. When you start looking at tackling your finances, it's important. Honestly, Mr. Jamie, it's important to actually look at your credit report. I would recommend that young person to actually go under annualcreditreport.com, ANNUALCREDITREPORT.com, annualcreditreport.com. There's another one out there that has one N that's like a phishing website where they try to get all your information, scams and all that stuff. We want to avoid that one. Use the one with the two N's. Annualcreditreport.com, you're able to get a free copy of your credit report from each of the 3 credit reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So by you looking at what is appearing on your credit report to see what debts that you have and what you owe, knowledge is power. So you want to go in and knowing exactly what you're facing, and you want to work on paying off your debt, based on how you feel comfortable. If you feel like using the snowball approach as far as paying off the lowest amount of debt to the highest, or if you want to use the avalanche approach where you use the highest interest rate debt and pay that off and use those payments towards the lower interest debts, that's fine. But most importantly, you want to know and have knowledge of where you are, and just getting that credit report is going to be vital, okay? If you need to talk to a financial advisor or talk to someone, go into whoever's lucky enough to have your business and talk to those financial advisors to be able to get your needs met, and talk to them about strategies that you could use in order to be successful, okay? So, and also attend a class, learn. We have this free conference coming up.
Free.
We serving food and everything. It's just going to be.
It's free 99. Come on, man. What are you doing?
We got,
no cost.
I know. We love free. Free is the best word, especially talking about finance.
Food is the best word.
But you know what? You know what? It is. It's very good. But sometimes we also have to help people to realize the value of them coming to something that's being offered for free.
Yes.
Because this wouldn't typically be something that you just offer people for free.
Yes, definitely. It is a cost associated with everything that internally that we're absorbing. And Chase is a proud sponsor of this event. But definitely we want to make sure that when we utilize free, we utilize and we suck it up for the education that is needed. Yes. This is what they said, this is free game that we're giving you.
Free game.
This is free game that we're giving you, and this priceless game. And this is going to help you to be able to better your situation for yourself and your loved ones for years to come. So educate yourself, especially as a young person that's trying to learn how to move and work this credit game, as I like to call it. You want to be able to make sure that you read and absorb everything, attend classes, attend workshops, conferences, so that way you can be educated and you can use those tool tips and strategies for your future betterment.
All right, Mr. Ramonda, before we let you go, there's a segment that we started to infuse into our Breaking Barriers podcast.
Okay. I like the new infusement.
I stole it from somebody's podcast.
Oh, he a thief.
I don't remember whose podcast it was.
Okay.
But, what would you say was your or is your breaking barriers moment? And when I say what is your breaking barriers moment, it could be that moment when you just felt all the confidence in the world. As we say, you start really like, I'm him, I'm her.
Yeah, I'm feeling
myself, right? When did you know that you arrived? What was your breaking barriers moment?
The moment I knew that I arrived was the day that I got the keys to my home, when I bought my home. I'm the first person in my family to buy a home. Okay, so that was a huge thing for me, and I remember I saved I'm talking about my business, but y'all family. So what I did is I actually saved like bottles. You know how you got the 5-cent return? I took those bottles in and I saved that every month because I was in this program, a home ownership program, and they wanted us to save consecutively every month to be able to, have money set aside. So in case like the rain came, the furnace broke or something, something happened to our home, we need a new roof, we have money set aside for that and money for closing costs and everything. So I saved bottles and I would save my change when I broke like a $20 bill. I threw all that and I would deposit it every week to go towards my savings goal. And I'll never forget it. It was January 26, 2000. Okay, I closed on my home. You see, I got that date engraved in my head, and I just knew you couldn't tell me nothing. Okay, you talk about the big head, you couldn't tell me breaking barriers. I was breaking my neck. Okay, like this.
Hey, I gotta go home now, y'all. I'll see y'all later. I'm going home.
I was like, I got the keys. So I was so Anthony. I was so proud of myself because I broke a generational barrier in my family of being the first person to own a home, and that was a huge feat for me. You know what I mean? And that was when I knew I was like, I'm doing good for myself. I did good.
I feel that.
Still living in that home to this day.
That was a great entry to that segue that we're gonna start doing on the podcast. I like that. That's dope.
Thank you.
Well, y'all
dope. Y'all dope.
You dope.
We got to shout out Miss Ramonda.
No, for real.
The little birdie told me that this was her first time ever doing a podcast.
It's crazy. I was gonna ask
She
you
came
too.
on here like a natural.
Nah, she definitely. You was enough for me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. That means a lot because this is my first podcast.
Nah, you held it
I'm
down.
so excited, and I appreciate being conference. Well, our upcoming JPMorgan Chase, and to represent our partnership with our upcoming conference. Well, our upcoming summit that's going to be held on April the 26th from 8:30 to 5 at the Northland Workforce Development Center. Please register. We're going to be promoting it heavily, team, okay? Again, free game. We're giving you $1 million game, okay? Free game.
For free.
You're going to learn everything. We're going to really do a deep dive in all this conversation that we're going to be having about credit, investing, home ownership, identity theft scams. Oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about identity theft and scams.
Oh.
So we're going to be covering it all, and we want you there. We need you there. And bring a friend, okay? So somebody who you think could benefit and be able to get that love that we're going to be giving that day. Bring somebody that you think would be a benefit to this because we want to see you all there, okay?
It's literally free game. It's free game. It's free food, and you can get your money up.
That's right, Jalen. Let them know.
Not your
Let them
funny.
know. Let them know, Jalen.
Look at y'all doing all the promo. I don't even think I got to do a promo drop at the end of the podcast. But what I will say is thank you to JPMorgan Chase. Not only are they sponsoring this event, but they're a great partner in the work that we do within Breaking Barriers. Shout out Say Yes, of course, all of our fellow colleagues. The event is April 26th at the Northland Workforce Training Center. We got Shamari James coming through as our keynote speaker from Equity Now Incorporated. My guy, Kyrie Stevens from Intersect Buffalo is coming to be our host for the event. Full days, lots of activations, and we look forward to seeing y'all again. As the young guys said, it's free. So with that, it's a wrap. Season 7, episode 3. We out of here. Peace.
All right, bye, guys.